I was in second grade in high school when this event happened. I was staying in a male student dormitory with a scholarship, since my school was in a different city than my hometown. I was a quite successful student too. We had 4 beds in our room. Unlike the other rooms in the dormitory, our room was divided into 2 by an aluminum door. The room had a single door. You had to pass through the part of the room we were staying to visit the other room. 3 beds and 3 closets were on one side, and 3 beds and 3 closets were on the other side. The room was for 6 people, but we were staying as 5. Vulcan, Shanair, and Kurtulus were sleeping on the window side, while I and Sukru were sleeping in the front section of the main door. As 5 roommates, we used to get along with each other very well. Thus, we used to sit together on the window side and chat here. It was a Friday evening. We agreed to buy some snacks together and chat until the morning after school. We went shopping and came to our dormitory. We met in the room by the window and started a conversation. While we were talking about things, the teacher aide visited our room and took attendance. He also said, "Don't stay up late, sleep." We told him, "We do not have school tomorrow. We will sleep until noon." He left. Later, we kept our conversation from where we left. It was late and we kept talking about things. Then, we started to talk about Djinns and some supernatural creatures. We were telling horror stories about them, without caring whether they were true or not. Since it was late at night, we were afraid of these stories, but we also could not stop listening to them. Meanwhile, our friend Vulcan was a sleepwalker. Our room was on the 2nd floor. We could not find Vulcan in his bed sometimes when we woke up. First, we used to worry, but we got used to it soon. We were even making jokes about it. We told this to our teachers and got the key to our room from Vulcan. We used to lock the room to prevent Vulcan from going out of the room. We kept talking. It was around 4:30 to 5:30 a.m. We said, "Let's sleep now." Since I'm afraid of such conversations, I said, "I will not go to bed." I said, "I'm afraid of the other side. Keep the lights on. You can sleep. I will text my girlfriend." My friends told me, "Okay." Sukru was a bit weird. He was not interested in religion. He said, "Screw the Djinns." He also cursed them. We all told him, "Don't say such things," and tried to explain the possible dangers he can experience because of these disrespectful words, in line with our beliefs. As expected, he did not care about what we told him. Sukru went to the other section to sleep alone. I sat down and I was texting with my girlfriend. About 20 minutes passed after everyone fell asleep. However, I was still afraid due to the horror stories that I listened to all night. Thus, I could not fall asleep yet. The door of the room was broken. You could not open the door unless you put too much pressure on the knob, and sometimes you could not open the door at all. We even sometimes kick it. I heard the door opening. I stretched my head forward to see who entered, but could not see anyone. I told myself, I think Sukru left the door open and did not care about it a lot. Later, the aluminum door that divides the room into 2 opened slowly. I thought the window in the hall was open since I felt a breeze too. I clearly felt the wind. The weather was slightly rainy and windy. I got up and closed both doors. Once I turned around, Vulcan woke up. His eyes were wide open and were looking at me. He asked, "Who is sleeping next to me?" Since I know Vulcan was a sleepwalker, I said, "Don't talk rubbish. No one is sleeping next to you. Go to sleep." Vulcan swore that someone is sleeping next to him. His face is not visible, and he even has black teeth. Although I started to get scared, I was still saying things like, "Vulcan, there is no one there. Go to sleep." Vulcan got up and said, "They are calling me." I once said, "Don't talk rubbish, bro. No one is calling you. Go to sleep." Vulcan suddenly rushed towards the door with quick steps. He was a sleepwalker, but he used to move slowly. This time, there was something weird. While Vulcan was about to get out of the aluminum door, I caught him from his waist and shouted, "Stop!" However, Vulcan kept walking by, dragging me. I started to shout to ask for help from my friends. I was shouting, "Sukru, wake up bro. There is something wrong with Vulcan." Meanwhile, Kurtulus woke up and asked, "Who is the one in Vulcan's bed?" He asked in fear, "Vulcan, who is in your bed?" I turned and looked at the bed while trying to hold Vulcan. There was no one in the bed. Shanair also woke up to shouting, and I told him, "Go and tell the teacher. Something is happening in the room." Shanair jumped out of the bed and went to call the teacher. Meanwhile, Kurtulus was looking at Vulcan's bed and was standing still. Vulcan was trying to keep going and shouting, "Let go of me! They are calling me! I must go!" He was also trying to hit me and run away from me. Suddenly, I think of Sukru. I had no power to hold back Vulcan. I yelled, "Sukru," but he didn't reply. Sukru was not in his bed. Suddenly, I heard breaking glass from outside. Meanwhile, the teacher also arrived. I'm not sure whether it is a coincidence or fate, but our teacher aide was our religion teacher on that day. He was more knowledgeable than regular religion teachers. He was holding an old book with a red cover. He would never leave it. He entered the room with the book and caught Vulcan. Shanair, me, and the teacher barely put him in the bed. While we are joking, I could easily put Vulcan down on my own, but the three of us were barely handling him. He was still shouting, "Leave me! I need to go. They are calling me from below." The teacher opened the book and started to read something Arabic. Vulcan was calming as he kept reading. Vulcan slept after the teacher read something for about 5 minutes. However, Vulcan's eyes were red. Suddenly, I remembered that Sukru was not in the bed. I said, "Teacher, Sukru is not in his bed. I heard glass breaking outside." He said, "Run." The entrance door of the dormitory was aluminum. The top part of it was glass. The glass was broken and there were bloodstains. The door was locked. The teacher unlocked the door with keys and started to run. He was running while saying words in Arabic. We found Sukru lying down ahead. He had cut marks from broken glass on his arms. The teacher and I lifted Sukru. Meanwhile, a few people woke up to the sounds. They also helped us. While they were asking what happened, the teacher said, "Don't talk." However, he was still repeating the Arabic words. He kept saying the same words. We laid Sukru next to Vulcan to Shanair's bed. Kurtulus was sitting silent and fixed his eyes on something on the floor. Vulcan was still sleeping and Shanair was waiting next to him. The teacher said, "Go, bring cotton," or something like that. Then he opened that old book and started to read again. Sukru was breathing, but he seemed unconscious. We were calling him, but we did not wake up. I was trembling with fear. I felt like there was a burden on me and felt lighter as the teacher kept reading. Later, I fell asleep. We were at the hospital when I woke up. All teachers, the principal, and vice principals were gathered and waiting in the emergency room. All 4 of us but Shanair were lying in beds. We had a serum in our arms. I asked, "What happened, teacher?" He asked, "What did you do at night?" Shanair already said, "We walked about Djinns." He showed Sukru's back. There was a red hand mark on Sukru's back, which was a bit larger than the regular human hand. He said, "Djinns visited you. If I was not there, they could kill all of you." He also said, "If you would not hold Vulcan, he would be just like Sukru." We stayed at the hospital for 2 days under observation. Our religion teacher did not leave us alone. Then we returned to school. They let us rest for a month and we did not visit the school. They sent us back to our hometowns. I stuttered for a year after the event, but I got better later. The hand mark on Sukru's back remained for 2 years. Nothing happened to anyone after the event apart from our deteriorated psychology. Once we got back to school, they placed all of us in different rooms. I couldn't stand everything and dropped out the school. I could not sleep in the dormitory. Our religion teacher still calls us and asks whether anything else happened. Sometimes, goods that I remember in their place get lost. When I talked about it, my teacher told me that Djinns are playing games with you. If they would haunt you, you would not have stayed like this until now. My mother took me to a Hajjah and ordered an amulet. I do not take it off even while taking a bath.